Hello, hello, hello. Happy Sunday. Okay, so so today is the day we find out of other people named Jesus. All right, so where's my little bird at? All right, so research has brought me a few things that are perking some curiosities. Peace be with everyone who finds themselves at this video. And if you come to this video, give it a little shot. Check it out. You might learn something that's going to spark an interest in you to really want to know truth, not be secluded to only what you believe until you get to the core of it, which is truth. Right? Truth needs no recognition. It needs no justification. It stands alone. So, this channel is dedicated to those, besides my kids and family and friends, to those who come across it that are seeking some truth, felt confused in your life, no matter what walk of life you're from, you found some contradictions in what you were brought up as, anything, right? You're just confused. You're wondering about the purpose of life. Well, this is the channel that we're going to take that journey together. We're going to read through things, talk about things, see things. And today we're going to talk about the name Jesus. Okay. Let's see what we're going to start with. We're going to get into. So now, just so you know, Jesus, Yeshua should be Jesus's name, so to speak, if it's in Hebrew. And it's the name, if he's from the Israelites, he probably would have had the name Yeshua because there's no J in the Hebrew. They translated the name for some reason because into Greek, which comes out to be Jesus or Ishua. And I think it's Iesous in the Greek, if that's how you say their letters. It's also broken down as Yehoshua, like Joshua, Yahshua, Yosha. I forgot how to say it. It's awesome how you say Joshua too. So that's the long version of that name is Joshua. So the name appeared 30 times in the Old Testament, mostly referring to Joshua, the one after Moses. Archaeologists have unearthed tombs of 71 Yeshuas. So I don't know if you knew that. It was a quite common name in the first century. So it was like everybody was naming their son Jesus at the time. It was as common as John or Michael or Mark, right? What else? All right, so that's a okay. So the first one we're gonna look at is actually I'll pull up because it's a guy in the New Testament, and I'll pull up. I'll just read. Oh, and then actually this version, it has the name. I can't believe it. All right, so the first Jesus we're gonna look at is Barabbas. Do you remember Barabbas? If you know the New Testament, Barabbas. I'm gonna read it. It's matter of fact, let me go. Let's see where it go. Oh no, well, I guess we can start there. Yeah, I guess we can start. All right, so this is like when Pontius Pilate was addressing the people when they were about to crucify, or when he was trying to make his judgment on Jesus. No, I gotta read. And go back. Okay, here we go. All right, so this is in Matthew. So I'm gonna read from where Jesus and before Pilate. Meanwhile, Jesus stood before the governor, and the governor asked him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" "You have said so," Jesus replied. When he accused by the chief priests and the elders, he gave no answer. Then Pilate asked him, "Don't you hear the testimony they are bringing against you?" But Jesus made no reply, not even to a single charge, to the great amazement of the governor. All right, so this is where Jesus is being passive in the scripture too, by the way. Now it was the governor's custom at the festival to release a prisoner chosen by the crowd. At that time, they had a well-known prisoner whose name was Jesus Barabbas. I'm surprised they even, because and you don't really find, you just find Barabbas. And actually, it's in the oldest copy of Matthew that's found is Jesus Barabbas, but they took out the Jesus. Church father took it out because he thought that wasn't right, that they named this guy, his name was the same as Jesus, so they just said Barabbas. At that time, they had a well-known prisoner whose name was Jesus Barabbas. So when the crowd had gathered, Pilate asked them, "Which one do you want me to release to you? Jesus Barabbas," which Barabbas means son of God. So Jesus, the son of God, or Jesus who is called the Messiah. That's what Pilate said. Both named Jesus. One's the son of God, and one who is called the Messiah. For he knew it was out of self-interest that they had handed Jesus over to him, right? So he knew that the religious leaders of the day handed Jesus over to be crucified for a purpose. They had an ill intent, an evil intent. While Pilate was sitting on the judge's seat, his wife sent him this message: "Don't have anything to do with that innocent man, for I have suffered a great deal today in a dream because of him." Right, so boom, there's the first guy. "Which of the two do you want me to release to you?" asked the governor. The people answered, "Barabbas, the son of God." Right, "What shall I do then with Jesus who is called the Messiah?" Pilate asked. They all answered, "Crucify him." Why? What crime has he committed? But they just shouted louder and louder, "Crucify him, crucify him." And then all the people, and then Pilate saw that he was getting nowhere, but that instead an uproar was starting. He took water and washed his hands in front of the crowd. "I'm innocent of this man's blood," he said. "It is your responsibility." All the people answered, "His blood is on us and on our children." Then released Barabbas to them, but he had Jesus flogged. Right, so that's the first Jesus, and that was the curious thing about it, that Jesus Barabbas means Jesus, son of God. And then as Pilate presented them, he said, "Jesus, the son of God," or "Jesus, the Messiah, that you call the Messiah." So there was a different breakdown there. Barabbas is only mentioned in the New Testament. Yeah, he's only mentioned in the New Testament, and he was a rebel that was accused of, I think, killing one of the king's men or something, one of the Roman soldiers. But that's how common the name was also. And then just the Aramaic meaning of the word is son of father, bar Abba, or son of the teacher, bar Rabban, indicating that perhaps this was a Jewish leader. Okay, so that's one down. Anything else I got about Barabbas? Boom, boom, boom. And then just so you know, some ancient manuscripts of Matthew 27:16 through 17 give the full name of Barabbas as Jesus Barabbas, and this was probably the name as originally written in the text. The early church father Origen himself admits that he was troubled by the fact that his copies of the gospel gave Barabbas' name as Jesus Barabbas. And so he declared that it was impossible that this bandit could have had such a holy name. so that Jesus must have been added to Barabbas' name by a heretic. Right? These are the people that makes decisions over these these things they call scripture, which they say is authorized by the Holy Father, so to speak, right? Like it don't make sense. And even a monarch. So just so you get what the like the smart people, the scholars and stuff are talking about it. So the minority of the scholars, I won't mention their names, have contended that Barabbas and Jesus were the same person, and that kind of lines up with no, it doesn't. But in Islam too, I forgot to bring that up. I should have brought that up. But in Islam too, they believe in Jesus, and in Islam, they say Jesus didn't die on the cross. So just so he was replaced. And then there is I think it's in Luke when the crosses Jesus fell with the cross, and then the Roman soldier made the dude Simon pick up the cross. There's not enough. That was the last transaction with the cross. It doesn't say he ever gave it back. So you're welcome, Malik, for sure, all day. So just understand that too. What else? But also, just on Pontius Pilate's side, let me see if I can find that. So it's almost like just because that name is in the gospel itself, it lacks the credibility from both the Roman and Jewish standpoint. The story on its face presents the Roman authority, Pontius Pilate, backed by overwhelming military might, was scared of this little crowd that was, getting all crazy, unarmed civilians, into releasing a prisoner condemned to death for insurrection against the Roman emperor. So being that Barabbas was against Roman emperor, like he was charged with a crime of treason, that's why Pontius Pilate most likely wouldn't have let him go. He was an enemy of the state. So it wasn't when they caught, not that they caught Bin Laden or we know what happened, but if they would have caught Bin Laden, it ain't like they put Bin Laden somewhere. It's like they would have put him to death, like they did, right? Obama put him to death. So a Roman governor who had done that could have faced execution himself. Any Roman governor setting a traitor against Rome free in exchange for an avowed friend of Rome, as Jesus was depicted, would have had his head examined after it was severed from his body. So keep that in mind. Okay, keep that in mind. Next up on the Jesus list is Jesus ben Ananias, the son of Ananias. And I don't know if this is the Ananias from the Bible. He was rendered as the son of Ananias, was a Pelagian farmer who 4 years before the first Jewish-Roman war began in 66 AD, went around Jerusalem prophesying the city's destruction. The Jewish leaders of Jerusalem turned him over to the Romans, who tortured him. The procurator took him to be a madman and released him. He continued his prophecy for more than 7 years until he was killed by a stone from a catapult during the Roman siege of Jerusalem during the war. His name is rendered Yeshua ben Yohana in modern Hebrew story. So this is a Jewish guy named Jesus in Jewish scripture And it came at a time like, see, even with Nero was the one that burnt down Jerusalem, right? What you might have not have known is there was peace in the land at that time. That's why Nero burned it down and blamed the Christians. And the Jews killed all. Listen, I found out a lot today about Jerusalem alone. And there's a feast. There came to be the feast at which it is the custom of all Jews to erect tabernacles to God, one Jesus, son of Ananias, a rude peasant who suddenly began to cry out, a voice from the east, a voice from the west, a voice from the four winds, a voice against Jerusalem and the sanctuary, a voice against the bridegroom and the bride, a voice against all the people. Day and night he went about all the alleys with this cry on his lips. Some of the leading citizens, incensed at these ill-omened words, arrested the fellow and severely chastised him. But he, without a word on his own behalf, or for the private ear of those who smote him, only continued his cries as before. Thereupon the magistrates, supposing, as was indeed the case, that the man was under some supernatural impulse, brought him before the Roman governor. There, although flayed to the bone with scourges, he neither sued for mercy nor shed a tear, but merely introducing the most mournful of variations into his utterances, responding to each lashing with woe to Jerusalem. When Albinus, the governor, asked him who and whence he was and why he uttered these cries, he answered him never a word, but unceasingly reiterated his dirge over the city until Albinus pronounced him a maniac and let him go. During the whole period of work. So that's that. And Josephus talks about him too in his book 6, chapter 5, section 3. And actually, just on mentioning Josephus talked about 12 different people named Jesus, just so you know. Now, yes, he did. And it's speculation on the part that's in about Jesus Christ. The one is, let me read it. I'll read it real quick. Where the hell is I just had it. Nope. Okay. So I'm not gonna read the whole thing. No, I'm not. This ain't the one. Oh yeah, this is the one. So this one is more confirmed. It's his book. I think is whatever book 18 or something. Chapter 9, and it's in the first verse. It was that dude I was just talking about, Albinus, that was messing with the other Jesus. He did some crazy, or not him, a guy they put in charge as a high priest, Ananias. And his predecessor was dead. So when was it Ananias? Yeah, it was Ananias. Ananias was of the disposition, he thought he had now a proper opportunity to exercise his authority. So, and this gives you this right here gives you almost a look into how I say the true Christians, they faded out, and the Christianity we have today is something different. Okay, now watch. And this is Jewish literature, by the way. This is the historian Josephus that wrote these books that are confirmed that he wrote them and everything. So where the hell did it go? So, all right, so opportunity to exercise his authority. So now remember, this dude just became the high priest in the Jewish realm. So he became the top rabbi, and he then assembled the Sanhedrin of judges and brought before them the brother of Jesus, who was called Christ, whose name was James, and some others. So some other companions of James. And when he had formed an accusation against them as breakers of the law, he delivered them to be stoned. And I think this is also proven as far as James' martyrdom, when James got killed too, in other scriptures. So this is a confirmed story, so to speak, on the inside of Christianity and on the outside of Christianity. And they delivered him to be stoned. But as for those who seemed the most equitable of the citizens, and such as were the most uneasy at the breach of the laws, they disliked what was done. They also sent to the king Agrippa, desiring him to send Ananias that he should not act like this no more, because what he did was not justified. So it was almost like people were getting crazy too over him killing James, the brother of Jesus, who was called Christ, because he was trying to take out all those Jesus followers. Because they were listening. It's like I say about Paul. Paul didn't know what he was doing, so to speak. Like, he was just acting on what he already knew. He just didn't empty his cup enough to where he just kept going with his religious practices. James, on the other hand, was called James the Just. There's books dedicated to him in the Nag Hammadi. Obviously, it's in the New Testament also, and also in this story. So at the because he was not justified, nay, someone went also to meet Albanus as he was upon his journey from Alexandria, and informed him what happened, and it was unlawful for him to put James to death with his boys. The Sanhedrin was out of context. Complied with what they said, and wrote in anger to Ananias and threatened that he would bring him to punishment for what he had done, on which King Agrippa took the high priesthood from him when he had ruled but 3 months. And here we go with the next Jesus, and made Jesus, the son of Demeas, high priest. So there's another Jesus for you. All right, and some information on that Jesus, son of Demeas. He was it was in the Herodian era. He was the Herodian era high priest of Israel in Jerusalem. In the Antiquities of the Jews, book 20, chapter 9, with Josephus. That's where I just read. He was made the high priest after the previous high priest was removed from his position for executing James the brother. 20 different people. Oh, what was it? To at least 20 different people with the works of Josephus refer to at least 20 different people with the name Jesus. And in chapter 9 of book 20, Jesus, the son of Demeas, is thought by many to be distinct from the reference to Jesus called Christ, who is mentioned along with the identification of James. By way of distinguishing others. So that was the confirmed part of Jesus. And then the other one. What was the other one? Boom, boom. All right, so that we'll go to another Jesus. All right, so that we went from Jesus Benias, Jesus the son of Demeas, and now we're going to go to Jesus ben Sirach. All right, he was from the 2nd century BCE. Okay, so before the Common Era, so before Jesus even existed, there was a Jesus named Ben Sirach, also known as Shimon ben Yeshua, ben Eliezer ben Sirach, was a Hellenistic Jewish scribe, sage, and algorist from the Seleucid-controlled Jerusalem of the Second Temple period. He is the author of Sirach, also known as the Book of Ecclesiastes. He wrote his works in Hebrew. It was possibly in Alexandria in Egypt in the Ptolemaic Kingdom from 180 to 175 BCE, where he's thought to have established a school. So he made a school there. While Ben Sira is sometimes, he's called Ben Sira too, sometimes called to be a contemporary, it is more likely that his contemporary was High Priest Simon II from 219-199 BCE, and this is due to the confusion with his father Yeshua. So his father was named Jesus too. According to the Greek version, though not according to the Syriac, the author traveled extensively and was frequently in danger of death. In the hymn of chapter 11, he speaks of the perils of all sorts from which God had delivered him, although this is probably only a poetic theme, an imitation of the Psalms. The calumnies to which he was exposed in the presence of a certain king, supposed to be one of the Ptolemaic dynasties, are mentioned only in the Greek versions, being ignored by both the Syriac and in the Hebrew text. The only fact known with certainty drawn from that text itself is that Jesus ben Sirach was a scholar and a scribe, thoroughly versed in the law and especially in the books of wisdom. So that was that guy. And he was also known for prophesying. He was he was a scribe of the law, of the Mosaic law. There's another Jesus. Right? I don't think most people that believe in Jesus even know. Right? But you got to, there's got to be some type of moment, when, no matter what you believe in, you got to get to the core of it. How else are you going to represent it in any way, unless it's a false representation? Right? The next Jesus we got on our list is Bar Jesus Elymas. He's in the 1st century AD, after the death of regular Jesus, also known as Bar Jesus. Is a Jew described in the Acts of the Apostles. So he is in the Acts of the Apostles. So he's in the New Testament book, chapter 13. They call him a magus, which is a sorcerer. Elymas the Sorcerer, Struck with Blindness, is the title of a famous cartoon by Raphael, which served as the inspiration for woven tapestries in the Vatican. I don't know what I put that there just because it was. Elymas is representing as opposing Paul the Apostle in 45 AD, who is called at this point for the first time with his Roman name, and Barnabas in the city of Paphos on Cyprus. Because of this opposition, Paul claims that God had decided to make him temporarily blind. A cloud of darkness immediately begins blocking his sight. After this, Sergius Paulus is converted to Christianity. That was the king that called in both Paul and the other guy, Jesus. Bar Jesus received the same curse that Paul himself did, temporary blindness. It is clear from the passage that Bar Jesus had the ear of the proconsul and was well known throughout the region. He was a self-proclaimed prophet of God who may have had his own religious agenda. Hey, Paul had his own religious agenda too. And Elymas, part of his name means learned or wise. Bar Jesus means also son of Joshua or son of Jesus in Aramaic. So that's already, how many is that? That's 5. And then the minimum of 20 that Josephus was talking about. But still, the one Jesus stands out still. So that should definitely strengthen faith. But it's also good to know there was other people named Jesus. Boom, 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 boom. Already read that one. See, and Josephus' books are long. All right, hold on. All right, here we go. So this one is in the mention of the Jesus Christ that Josephus also entered besides in that chapter 9 part. Such indeed were the precautions of human wisdom. The next thing was to seek means of propitiating the gods, and recourse was had to the Sibylle-line books, by the direction of which prayers were offered to Vulcanus, Ceres, and Proserpina. I think those are church fathers, or maybe they're gods, because now it's saying something about God. Juno too was entreated by the matrons, first in the capital, then on the nearest part of the coast, whence water was procured to sprinkle the fane and image of the goddess. And there were sacred banquets and nightly vigils celebrated by married women, but all human efforts, all the lavish gifts of the emperor, and the propitiations of the gods did not banish the sinister belief that the conflagration was the result of an order. Consequently, to get rid of the report, Nero fastened the guilt and inflicted the most exquisite tortures on a class hated for their abominations, called Christians by the populace. Christus, from whom the name had its origin, suffered the extreme penalty during the reign of Tiberius at the hands of one of our procurators, Pontius Pilate. And a most mischievous superstition, thus checked for the moment, again broke out not only in Judah, the first source of the evil, but even in Rome, where all things hideous and shameful from every part of the world find their center and become popular. Accordingly, an arrest was first made of all who pled guilty. Then, upon their information, an immense multitude was convicted, not so much of the crime of firing the city as the hatred against mankind. Mockery of every sort was added to their deaths, covered with the skins of beasts. They were torn by dogs and perished, and were nailed to crosses, or were doomed to the flames and burnt to serve as a nightly illumination when daylight had expired. Nero offered his gardens for the spectacle and was exhibiting a show in the circus while he mingled with the people in the dress of a charioteer or stood aloft on a car. Hence, even for criminals who deserved extreme and extreme punishment, there arose a feeling of compassion, for it was not, as it seemed, for the public good, but to glut one man's cruelty that they were being destroyed. That didn't even say nothing about Jesus. But I get, because I guess it said Christians, and then it says Christus. But that's the only other reference. So like when a person, like you watch a debate and they're always like Josephus, that's the only other reference. That with this reference they say was added in the Christ part, because Christians translated all of this stuff into the Greek, and once it got translated into the Greek, it was almost telling a different story. Okay. Now, this was curious in my research. Let me see if I can find the part that just says. Did I put it somewhere else? Nope. No. So there was a guy named Pseudo Philo. Okay, is the name commonly used for the unknown anonymous part of biblical iniquities. This text is also commonly known today under the Latin title Libra Iniquitatum Biblicarum, Book of the Biblical Iniquities, a title that is not found per se on the Latin manuscripts of Pseudo Philo's Biblical Iniquities. Is preserved today in 18 complete and 3 fragmental Latin manuscripts that date between the 11th and 15th centuries CE. In addition, portions of his work, parallel material, also found in the Chronicles of Jeremiel, the 4th century Hebrew composition. That's it. But what was curious about this dude is no. Philo's view of God. All right. So he writes. He's a philosopher that wrote. I'm trying to find the part that wrote all about God, and all right, here we go. I think this is it. All right, so we'll start from it. So Philo characterizes as a monstrous impity the anthropomorphism of the Bible, which ascribes to God's hands and feet, eyes and ears, tongue and windpipe. Scripture, he says, adapts itself to human concepts, and for pedagogic reasons, God is occasionally represented as a man. The same holds good also as regards God's anthropathic attributes. God as such and untouched by unreasonable emotions, as appears from Exodus 12, where Moses, torn by his emotions, perceives God alone to be calm. He is free from sorrow, pain, and all such afflictions, but he is frequently represented as an endowed with human emotions, and this serves to explain expressions referring to his repentance. Similarly, God cannot exist or change in space. He has nowhere to go. He has nowhere. Is not in any place. He is himself the place. The dwelling place of God means the same as God himself, as in the Mishnah. God is. Compilation in the Holistic Students that's Hebrew, corresponding to the tenet of the Greek philosophy that the existence of all things is summed up in God. God as such is motionless, as the Bible indicates by the phrase "God stands." Although, as shown above, Philo repeatedly endeavored to find the divine being active and acting in the world in agreement with Stoicism, yet his Platonic repugnance to matter predominated, and consequently, whenever he posted that the divine could not have any contact with evil, he defined evil as matter, with the result that he placed God outside of the world. Hence, he was obligated to separate from the divine being the activity displayed in the world and to transfer it to the divine powers, which accordingly were sometimes inherent in God and at other times exterior to God. This doctrine, as worked out by Philo, was composed of very different elements, including Greek philosophy, biblical concepts, pagan and late Jewish views. The Greek elements were borrowed partly from Platonic philosophy, insofar as the divine powers were conceived as types of patterns of actual things, and partly from Stoic philosophy, insofar as the powers were regarded as the efficient causes that not only represent the types of things, but also produce and maintain them. They fill the whole world, and in them are contained all being and all individual things. Philo endeavored to harmonize his conception with the Bible by designating these powers as angels, whereby he destroyed an essential characteristic of the biblical view. He further made use of the pagan conception of demons, and finally he was influenced by the late Jewish doctrine of the throne chariot, in connection with which he, in a way, detaches one of God's fundamental powers at a point which will be discussed further on in the Haggadah. This fundamental power divides it into two contrasts which modify each other. So the point, well, now it gets a little deep. In the same way, Philo contrasts the two divine attributes of God, goodness and power. They are also expressed in the names of God, but Philo's explanation is confusing. Yahweh really designates God as the kind and merciful one, while Elohim designates him as the just one. Philo, however, interpreted Elohim as designating the cosmic power, and as he considered the creation the most important proof of divine goodness, he found the idea of goodness especially on the parallel activity of the two powers and the symbols used therefore in Scripture, as well as on their emanation from God and their further development into new powers, their relation to God in the world, their part in the creation, their task toward men. Philo's exposition here is not entirely clear, as he sometimes conceives the powers to be independent and sometimes regards them as immanent attributes of the divine being. Right, so obviously this Philo guy gets deep, right? He looks into everything. He's taking the Greek philosophy, adding it with the Bible, adding it with pagan and late Jewish views and earlier Hebrew writings, right? It mentions some books that he's referring to, but he doesn't mention one thing about Jesus. Now, I coming across this story, I watched I think it's right here. No, it's not. I lied. I read this other thing that was talking about that exact story, and it said that it confirms Jesus, which is hard to believe. But he said like the guy was like, it confirms Jesus too, because he didn't bring it up, Jesus' name. But he was also not a fan of Josephus. What else we got going on? So Philo's done. I saw references to this slave woman, but I found nothing. There's like a paragraph that I found about her, and it's supposed to be unless she's confirmation of Harold, and his, because no, not even. This is in 5 BC. So who knows what this lady's doing? But Josephus wrote about her. I guess that's why I ended up looking at her. But she betrayed the herald before the one that tried to kill Jesus. If you didn't know, there's a Christ myth story. So that view, the story of Jesus is a piece of mythology possessing no substantial claims to historical fact. Alternatively, in the terms by some historians, the historical Jesus did not exist, or if he did, he had virtually nothing to do with the founding of Christianity. So keep that in mind. That's why I brought that up. Keep that in mind. Right? And these historians believe in the historical Jesus. This was a so when they say Christ myth, they're talking about like his miracles and his virgin birth and stuff like that. They believe that he was a man that walked the earth. And distinctly too. So just because there were other people named Jesus doesn't take his credit. See, it's the whole reason why I believe in Jesus in the first place, right? As a man, his name don't even have to be Jesus to me because his name is brother to me. Like that is that real, right? I don't even who knows what his name is. We don't know, right? I just read you the whole Philo thing, and guess what? Philo had a lot of similarities to what the Catholic Church is today. As far as, because listen, they got a telescope. I didn't even know they got like NASA type telescopes in the Vatican, right? They got, I don't know, bishops or whatever watching this telescope looking for asteroids. Okay, or star formations or the sign of Christ coming back. I don't understand, right? And they know more truth than anybody else. See, granted, maybe something's gonna happen in the sky because the world got to do something. The world's got to do something, right? Jesus the Christ, also was the stepdaddy's son too. He also was the God of this world's son. Okay, just like in the story of Yalabrov had a son named Sabaoth that saw he was full of shit and said, "Father, I can't follow you no more, Daddy. I gotta go to the real Father. I can't." What? You know, Jesus said. That's why, you know, if anything, when Jesus said, "Father, why have you forsaken me?" He was probably talking to Satan. Like, why are you forsaking us to go through this? Why don't you just admit you're wrong, and start making things better? Because that's how it goes, right? But the devil can't be divided against himself. But one day he will just be standing all by himself, so to speak. Just like all our evil parts of our existence will be perished away. That's what it means to be perished. Like, just like I said yesterday, the key to everything, just before you even start walking and talking to anyone, is who do you believe? Who's your God? Who is your God? And who is your God? That's the key. If you're like, listen, I'm following the same God, or I'm following the Father that Jesus was talking about, makes a big difference than following the God of the Bible, right? Like I said, we have free will, right? Why? Right? Because obviously the Father that created us didn't want to control us in that way, right? It's almost like the Job story, right? The whole devil's argument is like, they only love you because of this, or you gave him that, or he has good health, or blah, 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 blah. Right? The Father is like, no, I love him, so I just want him to love me too. But hey, in our own lives, right, there's times that we don't even think about a God, no matter what we believe. We're just going about our day, having fun in the club or whatever we're doing. And then at moments of distress, we're like, God, help us, please. I promise I'll never get drunk again. When you're sitting next to the toilet bowl, right? Like things like that really happen. And that's an example of how we walk away from the Father, and how there is something to what he's saying as in essence of the love and the love for the life that he created, right? It's something to be said. That's truth by itself. It stands alone. There's no other person. There's no one person in this world that can tell me anything opposite than that's truth. If there's someone that says, no, we're not supposed to love everyone, we can't love everyone, it's impossible, then you're tripping. You have to be tripping. And what is your end game? Do you want to dominate all of them? Then you have nothing to bitch about no more. Right? Drama is a thing. Drama is a real thing. Drama makes TV popular, makes reality shows popular, make people rich. Drama does a lot. Right? Drama have a boxing match of two nobodies all of a sudden turn into a pay-per-view event that's going to make billions. Okay? In 2 seconds. Right? Just Mayweather and that dude Logan from The Thing had their fight, right? How much money do you think they made? Drama. You call that drama? What about all the raps or music beefs that went on in the real? 50 Cent versus this one, or Tupac and Biggie? How much money do you think that accumulated in that world, right? Drama is the moneymaker. So what would you do without the drama? Like, what would you do? Especially, those people that just bitch about everything. It don't matter what's going on in their life. They'll find the most negative thing to talk about in the whole situation. They'll hit the lottery and still have some negative shit to say. Like, I got a paper cut from the ticket. This is bullshit. Like, those people I'm talking about. Right? What are those people going to do when everything's right? Right? What are the guys that are so headstrong on war? Mapping it out and stuff, and there's no more war. So what's the incentive to stop the war? Right? That's what we got to think about sometimes. You always got to think, like I always say, the end game. The end game. What does that mean? What's the end game? What's the end game to your cause? What's going to make everything right? What's the solution to the problem, right? You're claiming there's a problem, right? Racism, problem. What's the solution then? What's the end game? Right? Let's get everybody in like what was his name? Damn, I can't believe I just forgot his name. But the dude that got his nose broke back in the 90s or even the 80s. No, it probably was the 90s when he got his nose broke by the KKK because those talk shows like Maury Povich and stuff, and Jerry Springer before he was this Jerry Springer, they had these talk shows that they used to, what was his damn name? Damn, he got all popular because of it too. Spanish guy. Either way, he got his nose broke, and it might have been fake anyway, probably just fake for TV. But he got his nose broke by the KKK. He brought the KKK in. I think he brought some black people in and said, "Let's talk about it." That's what really has to go on. All right. So, white guy, what's your end game? Black guy, what's your end game? Right? There is no meeting in the middle because if it's not love for all, and all are benefiting from it, then there's no purpose in doing it. Right? That's almost like I say, if we ever came through a world-ending event, I'm not okay with them selecting some people to fucking survive. I'm not. That's honest. I'm not. Right? Because and I'm not even for myself. Not even for myself. I'll stay behind. I'm good with staying. Like no matter, even when I was deep into Christianity and the Bible, and I still thought the rapture was bullshit. But even in the thought that, hey, what if this did happen? I'm leaving. I want to stay behind and help everybody else. I'm not going anywhere. I want to stay here. I want to help the people that are here because that's my problem. Like my whole problem with, I guess, with the God of the Bible is, he's talking about wrath and punishment and throwing you into a fire that you're going to burn for eternity. What love is that? Right? And how is it my fault that I'm going in there when I'm brought into a world that's influencing me like this? Right? That's almost like saying you're rejecting the Holy Spirit, because once you know something is wrong, and you don't say nothing about it, are you going against that Holy Spirit that it's wrong for you not to say something because the situation is wrong and you should say something? It's like something like sometimes the world is, I don't even comprehend how the world is so crazy. But I'm here to try to help everybody get out. I'm not trying to, I don't want anyone left behind. And ironically, through what Jesus says, and when you find the love spoken into the Old Testament or the love spoken anywhere, it's always talking about the all. Right? God so loved the world, he sent his son to save the world. Right? He sent his son to save all. Right? When he talked to Abraham, you're going to be, through your seed, all the nations of the world, all the people of the world are going to be saved because of you. Right? It's about an all. So when anything's diverting from that all, when anything's diverting from that love for all, when anything's diverting from that love for life, no matter what the life, that's the wrong way we're going. Right? And then it was just, for the future. I was thinking about that. It's for the future and for the kids in the future. Because I was watching the video from yesterday. Because I watch my own videos, by the way, too. Because I got to hear what I'm saying. Because I don't know what I'm going to say until I'm going to say it half the time. Like, it ain't like, yeah, I got some books and stuff that I could read, but it ain't like I'm writing things down. Like, all right, this is what I'm going to talk about here. And no, I just go. Right? Father put something in me, and I go. And just like the first day I was researching this Jesus thing, it was hard to find any information. And then I was like, all right, Father, where am I going with this? And then boom, all of a sudden I'm starting to find all these names. I'm like, oh, okay, that's what's up. So really, the point of everything is, are we doing this major? Like Neo was helping everybody out. He wasn't helping. He helped the machine people too, or the programs, or whoever was stuck in there with the regular people, or the program versus the real world, I guess. Right? We're that's what we're supposed to be doing. Just, and that makes sense. And bottom line, that has to be truth. There's no other way to see it. Even on the side of, say the white guys, like, my end game is that I'm gonna be the ruler over all. Obviously, that's not going to work out, but you can be the ruler of your own. How about you do that? Right? Have your own little camp and be the ruler of your own stuff. Right? People are put in positions and stuff like that only because they're accountable for what they're going to have to do when those choices come up. What side are you going to take? What master are you going to serve at that moment? So you got a master that's going to treat you like a slave, and you got another master that's going to treat you like a father, like a son or a daughter. That's the key of picking who's the master. You call him master because he's the father and he created all things. That's cool. He's the master of the universe. That's cool. But he's trying to have a relationship with you, right? That's the whole point of the parable, the prodigal son, right? The father accepted him back. That's the whole shebang bang. We gotta focus in on that, and there's truth in that. Are we following a God that's gonna have open arms when we go back to run to him, or when we pass and we go to the next level of life? Or are we gonna have that, oh, you did dirty stuff, you did bad stuff, get your ass in there, right? That's why if you pay attention to what Jesus says, he says the Father has gave the Son authority of judgment. You're that child that's gonna judge yourself. Listen. And this is truth. No matter what you're going through in your life, you have responsibility. I don't care if it's the worst thing that could possibly happen to a person. Not responsible, and that was a bad word, responsible. But your choices have brought you to that area. Right? And even though we can't control the situations that we come across, we can always control how we face that situation. Right? We can look at a problem as, oh my God, there's a problem. Or we could look at the problem and say, start thinking of solutions right away. Right? Well, maybe we can do this. It's almost like having a leaky boat or something, or, something leaking and you see the hole. So you can sit there and look at it. What are we going to do here? I guess the water's just going to leak out. Or we can figure out a way to plug it. Let's take this. Let's try that. Let's try this. Right? It's doing steps to at least improve it. In retrospect to that, also doing nothing is doing something, right? When you're pissed off, when you're angry, sometimes doing nothing at that point is probably your best solution at that moment for that situation. Why? Because if you just act out, your emotions are going to take control, right? Your emotions are going to get you in trouble, so to speak. You may say some things you're going to regret. You may make some actions that you may regret. You may make some actions that threaten another, and they may act. And then a bad situation comes from that. Like, these are things you got to take into consideration. But sometimes if you stop and do nothing, right? If every war that was about to break out before it broke out and the countries did nothing, how many people lives would be here today or saved? Or how many fathers and mothers that are serving in the military would have been home to spend time with their family for that year or 18 months they've been deployed? Like, come on. Especially in the war aspect of, who really wins the war if everyone dies and then all of a sudden the big shots get together and they have a little meeting and say, oh, you know what, guy, let's compromise. War's over. What was all the lives lost for? That's what we should be celebrating on Memorial Day. Not saying, oh, because I drove past this firehouse that says our freedom isn't free. People fight for that freedom that we have freedom. And that really makes no sense. That's almost an insult. That's an insult. We're not free. What are you talking about? I know we're not free, though. I know we're not free, but don't put it to me like that. But in that, like, just say we're not free because we're enslaved by our own devices. I could go with that. Don't tell me we're not free. Our freedom isn't free because someone went and sacrificed their life for me to be free, when no war has ever touched on American soil as far as foreign anything coming over here to like blow us up, right? I'm back in the Russia war and stuff. I don't know about all that. I know the Civil War with England and stuff, different story. But as far as, no one has ever won any war. And America definitely did. America don't look like the Middle East. There ain't one place in America that looks like the freaking Middle East. I tell you that much. They ain't blown up buildings and this, that, and the third right there. And it never been really on American soil unless Americans did it fighting in their own wars. Like Russia didn't come over here fighting like with armies and tanks. And like, yeah, maybe they did. Cause you do have that movie Red Dawn and stuff. But like, when are we going to really wake up to that truth? Like, right. And just in the simple, just think about that. In war, both sides are fighting. They're killing each other. The big shots is in a room. All of a sudden, 6 months later, they decide, let's make a peace treaty. What was all that death for? That's a good point. That's a good question. What was it for? So why do we even get involved in the first place? It would have been a better place for both countries just to sit back and do nothing. Right? Take a defensive stand. Right? That's a different situation. You take a defensive stand. So now we're going over to help another country out. Now we border that country up, make a defensive stand. You don't make, right, where you're positioned in a way that they're going to look like the asshole coming at you. You're just like, listen, we're going to sit here. If y'all attack us, we're going to have to retaliate, but we're going to sit right here. You're not going to affect these innocent people. We're making a stand for truth. Right? You don't even have to pick up a weapon half the time. Numbers are everything. Right? Numbers are everything. If prison knew about that number is everything thing, it'll be a different situation. There's only like a couple hundred COs compared to the thousands of prisoners that are in the prison. Right? There's always more students than there are teachers. There's always more employees than there are bosses. Right? There's always more subjects than there are royal people in the family. but as people groups around history and time and our world, everyone gives authority to these few that are only out for themselves. Right? Most wars are about money. 100%. The people that are selling the weapons, right? How does Russia have American type military weapons and stuff, right? How does China? How do we have something from these other countries, right? They're making trades, they're selling. This is a game to them. This is the risk game. You roll the dice. All right, I moved this many times. You go to war with this one over here. There's all in the winner of that game is world domination. But see, it's almost like now we don't have like gladiators and Hercules type figures, right? Or Gilgamesh. That's another thing. I'm probably gonna read the Gilgamesh stuff. I want to get deep. Gilgamesh is deep. And that also has a flood story, and that's older than the Bible. But like that's what we got. We gotta figure that one out. Figure that out. Just like I say, I always make it clean. I'll debate anyone. No matter who the politician, scientist, biblical scholar, historian, and more just a debate to prove them wrong by their own admission, in essence of saying, just like I saw that dude, Neil deGrasse, said, yeah, I believe in the Big Bang, but we really can't prove it. I never heard a scientist say that. And then maybe I just wasn't watching the right videos, but I'm pretty sure the same guy was saying that there is no God that exists like 20 years ago too, when he was on like PBS and stuff all the time. Let me see if I got everything covered with my boy Jesus. And then also remember too, no one has a picture of Jesus. That's another thing that is good to consider or look into as far as as far as truth and how you discern the truth from everything that you may come across and in everyday life too. Like I said, these books ain't, the books is good if you look at them the right way. Just like the Bible would be is a great book, but it should be presented in a different way. No one should present it as the infallible word of God, especially when you have errors just from translation alone. All right, we're not even going to get into the deep errors and contradictions of the Bible. We'll just say the simple words are spelled differently, things are misspelled. Scribes had to write, they didn't have print and press, so they might have wrote two lines, copied the same line twice. Just those errors alone, it ranked up into like 250,000 errors, like thousands of thousands upon thousands of errors, and that's an infallible word of God. right? And why is it changing languages? I thought God is the God of all. God is the God of everything. So why is it not in just that language? And we have to learn that language to get the word. That would make more sense to me. I'll be all in the book then. I would be more, probably not, but through my growth, I probably would have favored it a little bit more, especially when I got into the Hebrew and like I read the other video with that message, just in the names from God, Adam, all the way to Jesus, or Seth, all the way to Jesus. Even with Cain and his peoples, that tells a story too, which is insane, right? But that's how deep that language is. Words, pictures, the letter means one whole phrase or something. Like it's that deep. Numbers mean something, and then we add them up. Like, whoo, let's get into that, right? But then you also can see how man could have put his hand on it too, right? You could have also seen that too. Or just I believe that's a clear message from the Father because it breaks down in the names. Now, granted, it's proven that Matthew, the book of Matthew and the book of Luke, both have genealogies in the beginning, and they're both different. One claims to be the royal side, one claims to be the bloodline side of David. But supposedly they're supposed. I gotta go through that again. There's good arguments on that one. But let's see. Let's see what else. Okay, we did that. Oh, this was curious, right? So look, going through this stuff, I came to a place, Aelia Capitolina. Okay, it was a Roman colony founded by Emperor Hadrian in Jerusalem, which had been almost totally razed after the siege of 70 AD during his trip to Judah in 129-130 AD. The foundation of Aelia Capitolina and the construction of a temple to Jupiter at that site of the former temple may have been one of the causes for the outbreak of the Bar Kokhba revolt in 132. But the curious thing about this was, here we are right here. So Jerusalem was renamed Aelia Capitolina and rebuilt in the style of a typical Roman town. Jews were prohibited from entering the city on pain of death, except for one day each year during the holiday of Tisha B'Av. Taken together, these measures, which also affected Jewish Christians, essentially secularized the city. The ban was maintained until the 7th century. So from that time, what did he say? 132, 132, I think. 135. The ban was maintained until the 7th century. So approximately 600 years passed. And there was no Jewish people there. They were banned from there. They only could go there once a year for this special holiday. Other than that, they were killed when they went. And then in the 4th century, Christians would be granted the exemption during the 4th century because of the Emperor Constantine. That's when he made it the Roman religion. But before that, there was no Jews there. I thought the Jews always stayed there. Even though there's some stories that the Jews that are in Jerusalem right now aren't real Jews, the Philistines are the real Jews. Look into that. Look into that. Because there's some truth behind that too. Just so you know, there is some truth behind that. Because Jewish people really ain't white. Just saying. They definitely bronzish. And that's it, I think. should have mixed this video in with the church fathers too, but it took an hour anyway. And then also with the Jesus name thing, there's a lot of people after the fact too. Famous people, just other people in general. Other people too in the Catholic Church and stuff like that have been named Jesus. The earliest one going, or to our time, the closest one is like in the 1700s, I think. But they wasn't, that has no reference to what we're talking about in essence. All right, yeah. So that's about it. Let me check. That was curious about that there. In that Christian myth theory, that was back in the first, second century. That started that. Because like I said, even some early church fathers, some believe Jesus was a hallucination, so to speak. Just like the arguments, there's the same arguments today about Jesus as was at the time of after Jesus died. Let me see. No, that disobedience to. See, and this is a good point to Christians. Okay, because I think Christians hijacked the Old Testament. Okay, and I understand they say Isaiah 53 talking about Jesus, but if you read the story, it's really not. Especially look that story up, Isaiah chapter 11, 53. And hopefully, if you look it up on YouTube, there's going to be a rabbi that pops up. The way he explains it the best way. He explains it just like the story saying it. Just like the story saying it, he's explaining it. And it makes a lot of sense. Now, could it have that story have reference to coming Messiah? Absolutely. But there was a Messiah that saved those people then. They saved them then. He said who he was talking about. He said that what he was talking about was Israel. That's what that story was talking about, was Israel. But and Israel was getting crucified and totally rejected at that time by the society they were within. So just remember that. That was the time that was Isaiah. I was about to go to Daniel. So just keep that in mind. The Pharisees and scribes criticized Jesus and his disciples for not observing Mosaic law. Keep that in mind. So that, like, is it in the Nag Hammadi where it says the Jews took hold of Jesus because they said he was rebelling against their whole thing. Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, the Mosaic laws. He was rejecting their religion. And they said he was the king of the Jews, which he never said. That's the truth. That's the truth. From the story. Right? I'm using that story to prove their truth is right within their story of what Jesus really stood for. In John chapter 8, verse 44, he says to the Jews, your father is Satan. Your father is the one that stood up and said, I am God and no one else is before me. He actually did say that. I don't know why I keep focusing in and out. Maybe it's because of that damn light. That light is serious. I had to brighten up my life. All right, so that's about it, I guess. Yeah, that's not in there. Okay. The Josephus stuff is a good read. Just like my whole thing of getting into more of the Jewish side of things is because that's supposedly the root of Christianity. Even though the Jews don't accept Jesus as their savior or Messiah, because the Messiah that they were waiting for was to conquer Rome and put them on top. But when you get into the Jewish scriptures, it makes sense. You can see why they don't believe in Jesus. It's like, oh my God, right? And they have the same claim as any other religion, right? We're the ones following the one true God. Muslims are the ones following the one true God. The Hindus are the one following the one true gods. The Buddhist is following the one true self, and the Brahma, like, everybody's following the one true something, but no one's truly following anything. Okay, they're truly following themselves, their ideologies, their theologies. That's the whole ology. Ology means you don't, it ain't no confirmation on what you're talking about. In essence, to no backing, like what just like if a Christian explains to you the good news, I asked somebody to explain to me good news, and they were like, "Oh, Jesus died for our sins." Okay, what else? How is that just the good news? Right? That can't be just the good news. If Jesus died, all right. So what does that mean for me? Oh, well, you're forgiven. Oh, so does that mean I could just mess up all the time and he'll just keep forgiving me? How would they answer? Right? What is the good news? The good news that they're preaching doesn't make sense to me. And actually tonight I'm gonna YouTube search what's the good news, even though I did this the other day too. And I'm gonna just listen and see what they're saying nowadays. But the good news, what would be the good, like that wouldn't be a good news. The good news is you're a child of the Father too, of the Creator. You share that life that He created. And this is life here right now. This thing that ends in death is nothing but a dream. Nothing but a dream. And to get through it is just love your dream. Have no fear. Love everything around you. Love your environment. Experience the dream. Experience the life. Well, now if you look at what I said about Jesus, Barabbas, I'm answering a question from Malik real quick. If we look at him, right? He's Pontius Pilate was warned by his wife in that story, don't mess with this dude. So he could have connived something. And he just said, who you want me to release? Jesus Barabbas or Jesus the Messiah? In Islam, they believe in Islam, they believe it was Simon, the one that helped them out with the cross. There's another area where they think it was Judas that really died on the cross. And like I said, with the Barabbas story, see what a lot of people don't realize is no one knew really who Jesus was, right? It says it in the script in the four Gospels too. The Jewish people were always trying to figure out who he was. They could never figure out they could never pinpoint that's him, right? That's the whole betrayal with Judas. Judas had to kiss him. They had to show him because Jesus made disciples, not only just the 12, right? And every disciple that became his disciple, as far as his dude that was going to spread his message at that time, all did miracles, all healed the sick, all resurrected people, all cast out demons. They did this, right? So there were a whole bunch of people doing the same thing as Jesus, walking around all over the place, right? When he sent out the 72 disciples, when he sent out the 70 disciples, right? Whenever he sent people out, he sent them out on missions to heal the sick, resurrect the dead, cast out demons. He did this, feed the poor, take care of the poor. So keep that in mind, right? And see, this is the real thing. This is because Christianity is based upon the resurrection in the majority of its circles, right? That's their proof. That's their Easter. That's their foundation, so to speak, right? And I think that's a slippery foundation, right? Because let's say Jesus didn't die on the cross, would it make a difference? Seriously, like what? Let's say Jesus wasn't born of a virgin, would that make a difference in what I believe? No, absolutely not. Right? There's some, the virgin word that's translated into the Greek also means in the Hebrew and Aramaic, young woman. So who knows? Right? I'm not here to question anything, but I don't know for sure. And the Father hasn't brought me this information myself. Right? Then that's what I asked. I asked for, I want to let me know. I don't want to take some. Now, yes, I watch a lot of debates. I read a lot of books, but there's a common denominator. Just like I say, there's not one movie, one book, one anything that's not explaining the Father or life, and even if there's nothing that has to do with God at all in the book or anything, and it's totally evil, so to speak. There's still a message, and it's a message of, like, even if it's the most wickedest stuff, and you look at it, if you have those eyes to see and those ears to hear, then you're looking and seeing what not to do, so to speak, or the worst case scenario of where we're going to end up if we keep on this path. opposed to just flowing and doing what you need to do and just showing the love. Showing the love. At the end of the day, everyone's happy. Everyone gets their wish, so to speak. Right? It's almost when Jesus talked about praying, right? Most people pray, let me get that new car. Can I get a job? Father, I need this, I need that. But it's all material, things that don't even matter, things that you can't take when you die. So what should we be praying for? Father, just give me the strength to get through the day. Father, help me, give me the words that I need to speak to this person to plant the seed so they can grow in you, that they can start waking up in you. Right? That's the whole worshiping of the Father in the first place. Like I had a friend once that said, hey, what are we going to do? End up in heaven and bowing down and singing songs to the Most High all day? No. You show that love to everyone else. You're worshiping the Father. You're praising his name. You're giving. Right? That's what Jesus did. Jesus walked around, told you about the Father, healed some people, did all the things that he did. But see, let's say even if he didn't do any of the miracles, would it make a difference? In my belief, it doesn't divert me at all. It doesn't divert me at all. And I don't know if you may be that type of person that's seen some crazy stuff in your life, things that you have no explanation for. I don't know how that happened. Right? Like the movie 127 Hours. I don't know how that happened. He defied everything that medical says, right? Did he not? He done cut his arm off with a pocket knife. He's cutting through nerves, bone, all types of stuff. He's bleeding out, but he lasted there 120, and he lives today. So he what happened there, right? I've been in situations where I picked up some stuff that probably no man can pick up, unless you're influenced by something, so to speak, right? With And we could probably watch, things that are caught on tape nowadays of miraculous things that happen. Or, there's people that do skateboard tricks, bicycle tricks, motorcycle tricks, all types of things that defy all types of rules of everything. Dude's doing 720. They're spinning like all these times and then landing it. So, right? What if Jesus didn't feed the people from just, a basket he prayed up? What if he did? He had the 2 fish and the bread. He prayed up. He put it back down. What he did do, what could have happened, explanation for that is, people always want to be doing the popular thing, so to speak, right? It's almost like, back in, I don't know, people probably still go to church all dressed up, but why do people dress up to go to church? The same reason why people dress up and go to the club. Same thing. Really, if you get to the root of it and the truth, is the same concept. It's not a different concept. It's the same concept on why they get dressed together, or dressed to their finest, right? So people, and when you're getting dressed in your finest, yes, you may like how you're dressed, but in essence, most of the time, people are getting dressed up on like the wedding, right? The bride is getting dressed up for people. Oh my God, you look so beautiful in your dress. That's what. If no one said she looked beautiful in her dress, would she have a problem at the end of the night? Oh my God, no one even complimented my dress or me or my makeup. So in essence, we're always looking for somebody else's approval, so to speak, when you should just be on, do you. Wear what you want to wear. Look how you want to look. Why not? Only one life to live, right? You're going to stress about, let me squeeze my fat ass into these skinny ass pants? No, I'm not doing that. That ain't happening. I'm wearing skinny jeans. Or but whatever you prefer. Some people like that skinny, tight stuff. I'm not, I like to be loose with it. I like to, just in case. I don't know. I don't want to be all stiff. Oh, shit, I can't move my legs. And also with the crucifixion, that was their thing at the time. That was Rome's thing that they adopted from another nation, but that was Rome's thing. They crucified. Jesus was the only one that died on the cross, and wasn't the last one that died on the cross either. Even after that, the whole scene of thunder and darkness and earthquaking and stuff like that, they still crucified people. Either way you look at it. But the real key is, would it matter any other way? Who would it matter, right? Buddha is not known to be hung on a cross. Gandhi is not known to be hung on a cross. Martin Luther King, I guess, yes, he got sacrificed on, being shot. But who knows who shot him, or why they shot him, or how they even get the picture of everybody pointing up when he was shot. Like what? Like there's things that you got to question. Life on the mainstream is a show, right? And though no matter if you're a preacher, a singer, an artist, an actor, whatever the hell you are, if you once you get on the TV, it's for one or two reasons. One, they need to keep you occupied and they know how to occupy you, right? So they give you a whole bunch of stuff and you're just going to be on MTV Cribs, only caring about yourself, doing you, maybe your family too, but that's what you're doing. You're not caring about the rest of the world and the influence you truly have that could bring everyone to truth and everyone to awaken. Or, right, and they do that with people they know, either they see them and they have that gift. They have that gift of bringing in the masses. And there's two type of people that bring in the masses: those that really are sincere about it, and those that are just in it for the money, so to speak. I just want to be on TV. Just like check out that movie They Live with Rowdy Piper, and there's a part where the TV's on and the woman's talking on the. Maybe I'm gonna figure out how I could, like, if I could talk about it legally on YouTube, like showing it at the same time. But there's a part where the TV, I just want to be famous. I want everyone to love me. I want everyone to see me. I want everyone to say I'm beautiful. That's the thing that runs our world, right? The insecurity runs our world, right? The good news is you're not broken as the world wants you to think, that you need this, this, and this to be good. You don't need any of that to be good. And yes, it's hard. It's hard to let everything go. Absolutely. 100% hard. But I promise you, when you let it go, it'll be hard for a little bit, but it'll get better and better and better, right? The poor person is the one that really has the advantage. The rich person is lost. The rich person is keeping the evil people, whoever you may think is evil and have ill intent, rich. They're keeping the oil companies rich. They're keeping the car companies rich, right? When in essence, these car companies got so much going on, why would, like, before everybody's coming out with the electric car now, but the reason why it's coming out now and was held back for all this time was because those people wanted to make their money and they wasn't ready to advance into that electric world. They didn't have, maybe they have the engineers, they didn't have the parts, whatever the case was, right? And they didn't want that guy over there that came up with this technology or did his thing with it and is ready to go. No. He's got to get this patent. He's got to all this process, all this papers got to fill that out, get back to me in 6 months. We'll see if we approve you or not. Like that, it's hurdles. It's a whole bunch of hurdles when there shouldn't be any hurdles, right? To pass a law for equality is just, we're equal, guys, right? President gets on the TV. America, I want to address America. Listen, everyone, we're all equal. Anyone acting with inequality, punishment, jail time, whatever the case is. But that's how you do it. You don't go to Congress. Oh, well, it's still in the House. We're still voting on it. We're undecided. We're button heads. Oh, please. That don't even make sense, honestly. Honestly, it don't. Think about it. It don't make no sense at all. Right? No sense at all. Or it does it. It could make sense, right? There's always a positive and a negative, so it could make sense. Because that's how they keep us controlled. That's how it makes sense. They keep us controlled that way. By distracting, making us want the things that we were protesting. Right? Let's look in the, and this is the last thing I'll talk about. So let's just look at the church world. And I think I brought this up before, but I'll always repeat myself because I have nothing but that to bring. If churches used to ban music. Music was of the devil. TV was of the devil. Now every church has a TV station, a YouTube, a Facebook, everything, right? And they even have music, right? But look, this is the craziest part. In the Old Testament, right? Most of the Psalms are songs. Okay, most of the Hebrew literature is poetry. Okay, King David was an artist, so to speak. He was a singer, right? That's why Saul first had him with him, is because the music, when he played it took away the evil spirits. And that's true with music, right? Music can bring you to what's that? Damn it. That country singer that was like, I'll break your car because her husband cheated on her. Listen, you don't think no girl that got cheated on and just found out is driving, playing that song, ready to go home and go in? Come on. Or Rocky, like the Rocky songs when you're working out. I am the tiger. All of a sudden you're like, yeah, I'm going. Right? Like that's songs can influence you to be where. So there's a positive and negative in all of it. There's a positive and negative in everything in life. In everything in life. That's why, I believe in Jesus because no one's talked like him. Period. As simple as that. Hate everybody in your life, even yourself. No, who says that? So someone to say hate the enemy in your life. No, I wouldn't forgive him. Jesus says forgive him. Forgive him someone. Oh, is 7 times good? Hell no. 7 times 70. 490 times? Yes. 490 times forgive him. No one's talking like that, right? There's no court system like, you know what, guys? We're going to forgive you. If you get in trouble again, that's not happening. Right? There's some companies or, places that you could go and visit, like, a sports venue, amusement park or something like that, and you break the rules, they're kicking you out. Right? No second chances. Bye. But then those influential politicians or lawyers or people of power, so to speak, or judges, and they have a kid that messes up and then they get them out of it, right? Where if it was another kid, he would have been doing life in prison, right? How many colleges where, there's date rape and stuff like that and no one's getting in trouble. The girls are being paid to be quiet, right? Or that Harvey shit with all the women coming out saying, oh, this is what happened, or with Bill Cosby too. Why did it take you so long to come out? Who were you scared of? This dude? Or were you scared of not getting paid no more? Were you scared of not getting that money? And now that your career is over and no one's putting you in the spotlight anymore, now, oh, you know what? He was an asshole. I went up to his hotel room and things happened and I didn't condone it. You went to the hotel room. Like, listen. I'm not saying no one did anything wrong. Okay. What I'm saying is, why does it take you so long to come out with the story? 20, 30 years, whatever the case was, right? I don't really know all the details because I don't really pay attention to that stuff, but just hearing about it. And then, even with Donald Trump, right? There was a lot of speculation. He's a pervert. He touches people in places he ain't supposed to touch, stuff like that. And now I'm not saying there's not assholes like that in the world. Yes, absolutely. But for the most part, especially when it comes to that movie dude, any woman going to his hotel room already knew the deal. Listen, I guess you got to be older. I guess you got to be born in like the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and maybe not even the 80s, maybe the 80s. I don't know. You just got to know how that industry worked when it started out, right? Why do you think pornography is the number one money make? Or I don't know if it is anymore, but making the movies and stuff was the number one with the Harvey, all them dudes that was Hugh Hefner and all of that. Come on, right? Those women didn't know what they were getting themselves into. Was there a woman that went there and said they did something inappropriate to her, but then yet she's in this video, she's on this movie? Come on, that was the way you got into the industry. Listen, there was a time that when in my homeless walk, a guy approached me about being a model. I don't know why. Don't ask me why. And I went to this modeling place. There was so much corruption behind it. There was so much hustle behind it. And all I had to do was get naked, and I would have been there. Straight up. Right? So what do people do when you're approached with money? When someone hey, I'm going to give you this $5,000, and I'm giving them much. I'm giving some credit to some people. Here's $5,000. Come do the thing with me. Right? Once you see the money out, that's why most people that are going to hustle somebody brings out the cash. That much. Right? Especially when they want to lowball. You throw out the cash, the person you know what? All right. I seen it on one of them reality shows where they go and buy junk or something like that. And the guy was like, I want $7,000. He was like, well, I got $3,000 cash. What do you think about that? All right. You know what? That's what happens. We take that sucker move opposed to taking the father path in essence of, I shouldn't have to sacrifice anything to be in this. I'm going to go walk with the Father and let him take me where I need to be. Period. And everything will work out. You think Jesus had a miserable 3 years up until the point he went to the cross? No, he probably had the time of his life. They were laughing. He had all these people that were outcasted of society feeling special and understanding they're not broken. And, the Father is here to give you anything you need. Just seek him first. That makes sense. No one's talking like that, though. Right? No one's talking like that. Right? And it's all about anything that I bring, anything that you look into yourself. It's all about discernment, even when reading the Bible. Yes, is it corrupted and have some lies going on or misleading things? Yes, it is. But the book is just like Balaam, and it can't curse the people. Right? That's why no matter if all of it is a lie, if every piece of literature, even the Bible, the Quran, everything was a lie, we found it all out. It's all lies. That's cool because you can still discern it. Right? You can still discern it from the father of love to the stepdaddy of physical. You can still discern it. You discern it just by reading the love. If it's talking about everyone benefiting, if it's talking about the love of all life, if it's talking about the all for nothing, right? All for one, one for all. If it's talking in that context, it's truth. There's truth. If it has an enemy in it and it's not showing love to that enemy, no truth. Right? If you have a free will, why would the guy that gave you the free will say, but you can't touch this tree? I give you free will to do anything you want, but you can't touch this tree. Doesn't make sense. Right? No, that's the creator that's gonna put you in the garden and see what you do. And be there to pick you up, right? You ever have a little kid and you're going to the park and they're playing on the swing set and you're just there to pick them up? Like I had to work into that because my first kid, I was, oh no, hold on, wait, let me hold your hand. Let me hold your hand. I'll just hold it down the slide too. I'll just take you down the slide. Like I was a nervous Nelly, but that there had to be a point. Thank God he was a boy first, and I just was like, all right, and I'm anxious and stuff, and I'm just, boom, he falls, and I'm like, all right, don't do nothing. Are you okay? And that's how and then you encourage that, right? A mama's kiss on a knee after a scrape is like the best painkiller ever. Oh, kids off running again. So, right? There's just remember that. And we always got to take life like a child. As a child, you didn't care about the shit that adults care about today. All you wanted to do was have fun, enjoy life, and experience. That's it. And that's all we're meant to do. Experience life, try to make the best choices that we can when it comes to love and love of life that we all share. Period. That is simple. That's the good news. That's the good news direction. The good news is this is only a temporary state, right? I was just watching Gladiator again. I probably say Gladiator in every damn video. I was just watching Gladiator again. And I caught the part where I forgot what he said now. I'll probably watch it again and I'll tell you guys. But it's deep stuff, man. All you gotta do is look into it. That's all you gotta do. Look into it. Dig deep. Go as far as you could possibly go, and then realize, like, a prejudiceness or a bias is a thing that holds you back, right? You can't be all into science and just exclude God without researching God. You can't just be all into God and disconnect with science without researching science, right? The things in science that don't make sense to me is because things aren't adding up to me, right? Yes, okay, you say the core of Earth is here and there's this much space between it and we have this different levels. I hear you. But don't let me know that the deepest hole in the whole world is only 8 miles down and you can't go any further because of the conditions where it is at 8 miles. Don't tell me that. Because then now I'm like, how'd you even get to the core of Earth? Right? Just like with space or anything, just like I said a couple of videos ago before about landing on the moon. All of a sudden, you ain't been back to the moon since. How does this happen? Right? You get NASA on some video saying, oh, well, we lost the technology. What happened? Right? I saw news. I forgot where I was. But I went somewhere for the weekend and I was at a hotel and I watched the news channel there. And it was a live thing with them shooting stuff at the moon. NASA was shooting rockets at the moon, saying that they're trying to knock off some type of dust that needs to come into our atmosphere. How do they even know? So we just let them do them, right? There is something. I think it was in the 1800s or even around Hitler's time, because Hitler was all into the Antarctic and stuff. Raiders of the Lost Ark kind of Germans. two things come from. There was a time where his planes was flying or something, and they kept crashing into this invisible wall. What was the other one? Oh man, I can't remember the other one. But that look into what like behind Hitler. Not even just what the world wars. Look at what he was doing in life and what his focus was. His focus wasn't. That's why it's hard to believe the world war, because his focus wasn't on that war. His focus definitely wasn't on that war. I promise you. Yeah. So just staying strong. Do the best you can, because that's all you can do. And the choices that you walk around making is the choices of, it has to be for love in life. Not saying you can't make the other choice, but the other choice ain't going to get you anywhere. Right? It's almost like, a true king understands he's one of the people too. That's a true king, right? A true king doesn't rule with fear, rules with love. Right? Love for all, love for everyone. No one goes to bed hungry. No one goes to bed without a roof over their head. No one should be in need. That should be our concept of our world. No matter what you believe, who you believe, how you believe it, that should be it. It's not fair for you to have something and it's not, and this people group over here, because they're different than me, they can't have it. That makes no sense. But in every people group, that's the problem. Everyone thinks that they're them, they're they over there, and they don't get the same things as we get. That it doesn't make sense. It can't make sense. It can never make sense. And it's unfair to everyone in the situation, because all that causes is animosity on that other side that's not winning the argument, so to speak. And it's going to cause things like terrorism and people growing up with the intent just to build something to go and fight for what they feel, or what affected them that you didn't think was that bad, but it might have been that bad to them. Right? Some people that, there's all types of emotions and feelings out there that could be a good example of someone taking it a different way, right? A guy going to kiss a girl could be taken in a different way, or a girl going to kiss a guy could be taken. What happened? What are you doing there? Anything could happen. All right, so hopefully we learned something today about the different Jesus. It's only small stuff though. Just do a search yourself too. Check it out. We know at least 27. 27. Even though I would have to read the whole thing of Josephus, just to get the other, I guess 19 names of Jesus that he was referring to in there also. Well, now I guess 18. But I'm not that interested in Josephus like that. Even though the stuff I was reading today, I might read a couple of these books, because it gives you a picture of Roman stuff. Like I always like that. Just like with all the Jews got kicked out of Jerusalem until the 7th century. That's crazy. They don't tell you that. Where were they then for all that time? That's what I want to know. Where were they for all that time? They weren't there, right? Just like older civilizations used to conquer, take who they conquered and bring them somewhere totally different, and then bring another people group to where they just took those people from. That used to be the strategy of war and stuff. Displace the people, have them confused. Then they don't know. Then when the generation comes up, the next generation, they're already compliant, right? That's the thing I was going to say with Moses and the Exodus, right? When the people went into the desert, their God got so pissed off that they said, you know what? Ain't none of you going. None of you. Everyone's going to die. The only ones that are going are whoever is 20 and under now, after all these other people die. That's a God not with free will. That's a God trying to conform you, program you, train you to be what he wants you to be. That's not a free will God. So just think about that story. And that's how our life works. See, that's why I don't like when they say, let's do it for the children in the future, right? Let's do it for the children's future. Why not now? Now is the time, not the future. Now is the time. Because by the time that future they're talking about comes, the kids are going to be just like us, if not worse off, right? Because every generation that goes through, it gets worse and worse and worse and worse, so to speak, as far as absent-mindedness from everything that's going on, right? Forgetting the old ways, so to speak, forgetting where we came from, forgetting all the history, right? If they displace you and destroy all your documentation, that's why the Dead Sea Scrolls were found where they were found, because there was a time, and I think it was in the 11th century, that the Catholic Church was trying to monopolize on this religion thing and take everything else out and only have what they have to present to you for you, right? Just like if you go to a church today and you bring up any of the Nag Hammadi texts, the preacher is most likely going to tell you, don't read those. Those are bad books. And I haven't read a bad one yet that weakened my faith. That's what I mean. I haven't read a bad one yet that contradicted anything that I believe Jesus to be, or the Father of all to be, the love and the love of life. Everything confirms it. More so, it's within you, and you got to bring it on the outside of you. Confirms it. We're put here for a reason, to shine that light. And the only way you can shine that light is if you get it. The only way you can get it is if you go through pain, you'll realize joy. If you go through war, you'll realize peace. Right? That's why once you get it, now you got to start walking away from that stuff. Right? So the military man that gets it and says, hey, man, this war ain't what I thought it was. This war is absolutely not what they sent me over here to fight for. That's when you just start walking away. Figure out how you get yourself, like, you got to be in a situation. But then as soon as you can get yourself out of the situation, you're out of the situation, you turn the other way, you walk the other way. You leave that behind you. You start now you build up your, whatever the Father's bringing you to. Right? Now you're a veteran. Now you can go talk to other veterans. Hey, man, let's, right? There's veterans for Christ. There's ones that do security at the church function thing I go to, that when they have the big ass beach party thing, or, you know, whatever they're doing there. They have the biker guys, Bikers for Christ. And they come out and they play security, help people cross the street and stuff like that. Not that they need security for any like crazy stuff that's going on. Yeah, be blessed, Malik. Be blessed. You should start making videos too. We all should be making videos all day, every day. Let's see. That's pretty much it, right, for today. I'll probably take a couple of days off. Then we'll come back. I'm gonna do this scene gospel. Still want to do the Abraham. We'll finish up some Thomas probably next week, and that's it. Hopefully, like in the future, we could have some picnics. Right, we get a good group of us and we meet up, do some things. I'm working on things like that too, looking into how I could do it. We could probably do some Zoom things where we could have like literal conversations. Bring, you know, a few of us up on screen and we have a conversation. We talk about stuff, bring up some information we want to share. Definitely want to do that. But we'll see where the Father takes us. You know, we'll see where the Father takes us. I'm gonna probably put out a whole bunch of shorter videos, or even take some of these videos and edit them in the sense of just cutting out small parts that talk about certain stuff, just to make a shorter video for the person that doesn't really want to watch long ass videos. I'm a long video. I watched a video for 10 hours, off and on though, but not 10 hours straight. But I watched a 10-hour video. It's Alan Watts. It's a 10-hour video of just his philosophy. It's awesome. That's a good guy. Look into Alan Watts. Alan Watts, he's where I get the good news is Jesus is a powerful son of God, and he's coming to tell you that you are too. And that's truth. That's truth. That makes sense. That's truth. God, like, it would be a disadvantage to us if God brought a supernatural to save a natural, so to speak. Right? But he brought a supernatural to save the supernatural. That's why you got powers, you got gifts, you got things that'll take you to the next level as soon as you figure them out. As soon as you wake up, know yourself, know your gifts, even know your faults. That could work out in your favor too. Trust me. Okay. I from being a rebel at in my young rebellious time frame, coming out of it, maturing in it, I can use that same energy to produce positive influence. Okay. So just keep that in mind. Like, just because you may think it's a fault of yours, you have no faults in the Father's eyes. All you have are gifts. So you got to learn how to work that gift, right? Everything has a positive and negative, no matter how you look at it. Everything has a positive and a negative, no matter how you look at it. Positive and negative, right? It's a positive, like, no, I'm not even gonna go there. But everything has a positive and negative. You got to figure out both, discern them for both, and then bring them together. Like, watch the cartoon Avatar, right? I don't know how old you are. Don't even look at age as a number. In this case, ages don't mean shit. Watch not the cartoon Avatar, The Last Airbender. The Avatar, The Last Airbender. And when you watch that, it's got some deep parts in it. I'll try to find out where to get the chakra thing from. The chakra episode is probably the best because it breaks it down in such a way that if you're watching, you got them ears to hear and them eyes to see, you're gonna see it for what it is, right? It tells you the steps of how to clear the chakra, and it's deep. But these are things, like I'm telling you, everything has a message in it. Everything. Just like in Wonder Woman 1984. The lasso of truth isn't the truth. The lasso doesn't create the truth. Truth needs nothing to defend it. Truth stands alone, right? And then the Avenger Endgame, Infinity War, Thanos was a message, right? And he's like the goodness of the world, the evil of the world that you think is evil. He has good intent. He wants everybody to prosper and da 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 da. So he has to, he just had wrong intentions of we got to destroy half the population to do it. That don't make sense. Right? It's all or nothing. Listen, I don't know if anyone ever even looks at the world. Right? I live in like a farmland area, so there's land and land and land. Right? If you ever watch those like whatever shows, Bear Grylls on National Geographic, even The Naked and Afraid. These people are in areas that you can't build something here for people to live in. Right? Is that how small-minded we are? We all this open-ass land everywhere? Or even if you go to any I live in Jersey, so Trenton, Newark, Patterson, all the like bad quote unquote quote areas, so to speak, have mad abandoned houses and stuff. But there's homeless people in these streets? That don't make sense. That is, then what is our intent? Are these people homeless purely because they don't have the money to pay anyone to get to the place they are? Then that's truth. But that it shouldn't be that way because everyone, it's hard to explain that one. Everyone's not like without saying that somebody's lazy or something like that. Like you honestly, everyone's good for something. You just got to find out what they're good for. Right? You got to drive them, encourage them to help them figure out what they're good for, and they can get it. That's the key to that. But sometimes people do need some help. Hey man, at least this is what we're gonna do for you as just being a person of existence. Here's a place to live. You get this ration of food, right? And then you build off that. You want to go get that 6-figure job. You want to go be an advertiser. Like it, not that our world is absolutely wrong. It's just that our intent for everything that's operating is wrong. And not wrong in a way of that's evil, let's destroy it. Wrong in a way that it's a big mistake, let's correct it. It's an error, let's correct that error. Right? Not, oh, well, this is how it is right now until something can change or until we vote a law or whatever the case is that they're using as an excuse. Today is the day. Now is now. I might not be here tomorrow. I want to see the change today. Right? Or that homeless person might not make it through the night. Heat stroke in the hot weather. Hypothermia in the cold weather, or that's water related, I guess, or whatever. But they can freeze to death or heat out to death. Like that, is that where we're standing? Like we just got to like, and all, coming together. You know what I mean? We all come together as one. It'd be awesome. And there's little groups out there already. And then once we find each other, little groups become bigger groups. Right? And we all got to stay on that narrow road, though. The narrow road is key. Only few find it. Narrow road makes sense. Narrow road is truth. The world is, like I said, it's not hard to make money. It's all depending on what you're willing to do to make that money. You can, if you're willing to do whatever, like people like, well, if somebody offered me $1 million to do this, I'll do it. Hey, there are people out there that would give you $1 million to do whatever. You never know. You can find them. I'm pretty sure there's people that make, millions of dollars just sitting at home eating chicken and with half a boob sticking out or something. I don't even know, but that's what they're doing to make money, right? There's people playing video games that people watch, and all they do is sit there and play money. There's people that, everything, right? It do nothing to make, like people on the, let me see. People that have like, what's his name? Elon Musk. There was a point he started PayPal, right? And next thing you know, he can do anything, right? And then your life really changes in a moment. In a second's time, your life changes. You get the news about that new job, change. You get the news about the house, change, right? Everything happens in a day. We just stress to the point of that moment. And that's what we got to learn how not to just be patient. Patience is key. Don't worry, your turn will come, and the time will be right, and the path will be right in front of your sight. You will have no right. The father of the all isn't a father of confusion. He's not here to confuse us. That's why the Tower of Babel, the God that came down for that was a different God than the all, because that God ain't the all ain't. First of all, he gave you free will. So if you want to build some tower that goes all the way up to the sky, yes, the story makes it seem like they were heartless about it. They dropped a brick, they mourned. A person fell, they didn't give a damn. They put another person in his place, told him to carry the brick up. Yeah, it was some crazy stuff going on, but they had intent. They were whirling as one people. When we like-minded, you can do anything. You do anything, but that anything results in positive and negative results, right? Because it's the intent. If you're only in it for the money, money's going to run out. Money's going to get spent. Next thing you know, you're not going to have that money. Now what? Now you got to get some more money, right? The money keeps you a slave because you got to keep going for it. But yet you give it the authority of being your master as you're being enslaved, right? And there's no other way to look at money. Money is a false blessing. Money can burn. Money can be robbed. Money, one day they could decide this money don't mean shit no more. We got new money. That could happen. Right, that Bitcoin thing is getting popular again. All this stuff is getting popular again. That's because when it was popular at the time, or when they were trying to make it popular, nobody fed onto it. Now, people, sucker into a vaccine that no one really did research on, and they're getting a shot. Hey, we got a people group. We got a majority that's ready to do whatever we want them to do. Got to look at it like that. Like, I'm not knocking anyone for getting a vaccine, but you got to look at it like that. You just made a choice on something that there's rules to that game. Right? If all of a sudden this virus pops up, there's rules to the game. Oh shit! In a year's time, we can make it. No, doesn't work that way. Unless there's something they're not telling us. Unless they got a whole bunch of guinea pig ass people in a building that they're just injecting stuff into. Unless the virus was not just here in the time that they said it came. Right? That should be curious anyway, because it's version 19 that when it came, and we should have had another version by now, but we're still at COVID-19, and where were all the other ones prior to that? You could say it was a thing from China, you could say it was a thing from over here. It don't matter, right? As soon as I saw that stuff on the news in China, I said it's just a matter of time. And then all of a sudden the first case is like in Seattle, Washington, somewhere on the other side of the world. In the cold weather, when they said, oh man, there's so much that went on with that. It's crazy. But what did the world do in essence of that? Now we know who we can trust, right? Over in Europe, they're having meetings and stuff like that, talking about a great reset. Are you not paying attention to the world around you? There's war going on right now that's going on crazy in the Middle East. Are you not paying attention to what's going on around you? Right? These are things we got, like, not that it's worrisome. You don't have to worry about it. Just know what's happening in essence. So when you meet that person that's stressed out about it, listen, Jesus said everything got to come to pass anyway. And as simple as that. But if you're walking in that love and you're walking in that love for life, then you're not going to meet death. You're not going to taste death. I promise you. You might leave this place, but you're not going to taste the death being out. And you're going to breathe for the first time when you get to wherever you're going. I'm telling you. I promise you. I have no doubt about that at all. No doubt about that at all. At all. At all. I feel that in my bones. I feel it. It makes sense to me. Right? Why would God create us to be a sim game or just this temporary thing that's just going to pass? That don't make sense to me. Right? That's not a father of love. That's not a father of all. Yeah, I could live in the, if we came back or there's reincarnation or something like that, and we came back as forgetting what we did the first time. I can see that, but I think it's one shot. I think we're all at the end of our lives right now. Whoever watches this video and you hear my voice, no matter what, the end of your life, you're going to know the Father, no matter how you look at it. Right? And that's what I mean. If you are a Christian, you want to see the root of the Jewish people, look in, like read the Old Testament to where you're trying to figure out the people that they're talking about, right? There was King Manasseh. He ruled for a long ass time. He was an asshole the whole time. He was like a tyrant. And then on his deathbed, he repented and probably went and stood next to the Father because he saw his error of his ways. And he repented for those errors. Like sometimes it takes a lifetime for people to get it. Right? When you come across those arrogant people that don't want to hear nothing else, it takes a while for people to get it. When you get those drug addicts or people that are going through issues and they've been doing it for 30 years and they still didn't wake up, there'll be a moment. Right? The world isn't set up for us to be like, oh man, yeah, let's stop doing this now. No, it's not, because it's not here to support you in that decision. Right? If it supports you in that decision, it's almost like crime. If there's no crime, there's no jobs for cops. Right? And if unemployment is such a crazy ass thing, when the numbers go up, how many numbers will go up then? And then if there's no crime and there's no jobs for cops, there's no jobs for judges, lawyers, prosecutors, clerks. The list goes on. There's millions and millions of people that would be affected. If not, millions and millions, because we're only in like hundreds. So millions and millions of people that will be affected. Just like if a car came out and it's the new thing and you drive on electric, all the people that make the cars with fuel, guess what? They're all out of money. They're all going broke. They're all out of jobs. So what's our incentive? What's the thing that we're looking forward to change that? Nothing. Because everybody wants to make money. Everyone needs a job. We're not looking at it in the right way. If we looked at it in the right way, it'll be different results. Right? I'm looking for the Star Trek type of life, right? You ain't never seen nobody on Star Trek buying anything, spending money on anything. Everybody's just cool. They're all traveling space, exploring space, fighting these aliens over here, doing what they're doing, but they're all together, surviving together, eating together, living together, right? The whole Enterprise, the whole Star Galactica unit. Okay, even in Star Wars, right? Everybody's chilling. Well, no, I guess not in Star Wars. Star Wars, bad example, but. Either way, well, if you look at the Death Star, right? Any army, any military prison takes care of their prisoners, right? It's insane. Why can't we take care of regular people? Why can't we take care of everyone? Why can't everyone just have the necessity of life, the love of life, and just if they didn't want to work for the rest of their life, they still straight. Right? That's where you get the inspiration to do things. That's where you get the thought process going strong and you're coming up with great ideas because you're not distracted by the world that's revolving around you, so to speak, and not giving you time to even sit still to look. That's why it says rest in the Lord. It says that all over everything. Rest in the Lord, rest in the Lord, rest in him, rest in the Lord, rest. Right? Because you got to stop. That's thinking, dude. Do that. That's what you gotta do. You gotta think. Just sit there and think. Let time run, you walk. Time is a myth. In our world, it may be a reality to you, but it's really truly a myth. Who really knows what time? You go to California, you're 3 hours different now. You go to Australia, you're a whole day away. like come on. You have your birthday on the same day in some places. If you probably jump over a border. Just stand on one side of the border, jump on the other side of the border, is your birthday again. There's places probably like that, right? Time is nothing, right? No one even knows their birthday. Who truly knows what zodiac signs you are? Nobody knows shit. That's the craziest thing. No one knows shit. And especially if the constellations, if we're only going by constellations that cross over us and the world is really round, and like when it's night, there's that, or when it's daytime where you are, that means it's night somewhere else for somebody else. That means they seeing a different star thing. You ever get the star app? If you get the star app, there's different stars above America than there are going to be over here. Now, if there's not, then we're looking at the same damn sky. Just saying. I'm just saying. But that's it there. All right. I love you guys. Peace be with you all. I'll see you again soon. Like I said, if you want me to, put on a certain topic or something like that, or you want me to read any book that you've heard of, or you want me to just research it for you, because that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to like show you what I'm researching, show you what I'm reading, sort of spark your curiosity and you look into it too. All right, but I'll be here to spark it. I'm your brother of encouragement. I'm going to encourage you to be the best that you can be and get those superpowers, and let's get this world right. Simple as that. Let's bring heaven to earth. The mind state of peace, true love, true life we all share. Let's get there. All right, so have a good night. Like I said, I love you. Peace be with you. Holla at me.